Clinton man was arrested this weekend after police say he allegedly shot a woman in the neck. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Devin Dagnall.
And I'm Beth Jones. 69-year-old Andrew Fertig made his initial appearance in court today. Our Grace Blanchard has the details.
69-year-old Andrew Fertig of Clinton has been accused of shooting a 74-year-old woman in the neck. Fertig appeared virtually before a judge at the Capitol Judicial Center in Augusta. He's being charged with domestic violence, elevated aggravated assault, and could face multiple felony charges. According to the Clinton Police Department, around 6 p.m. Saturday, police were called to the Hill Road for reports of a female with a gunshot wound to the neck. Police say the woman was airlifted to Eastern Maine Medical Center due to the severity of her injuries. Fertig was arrested on scene. According to police, he had a very high alcohol content level at the time of his arrest. An assistant district attorney for Kennebec County noted in court Fertig has a criminal history that spans nearly 2 decades, facing previous convictions of domestic violence, assault, felony drug theft, and multiple OUI convictions.
The defendant made numerous statements admitting to fault, stating, quote, "I have made the biggest mistake of my life," claiming, quote, that he is a bad egg and that he knew what he was doing when he pulled the trigger.
The judge set his bail at $1 million. He will remain at the Kennebec County Jail pending his next appearance and assignment of a lawyer. In Augusta, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Help is now available for those at risk of eviction across the state. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard spoke with the Maine State Housing Authority to learn more about the new eviction prevention program.
What we're looking to do is really identify those households that are actually in the eviction process, that we can stave that off and get them on a good path.
Dan Brennan, the executive director of the Maine State Housing Authority, is talking about the new eviction prevention program, which began accepting applications on Monday. The pilot program, created and funded by the Maine legislature, will allocate $18 million to help Mainers who are behind on rent payments.
Well, the legislature was concerned, as they should be, about people being able to make their rental payments and stay in their homes. We know a lot of people are struggling in that regard.
Funds are limited, and Brennan says priority will go to those who have already received eviction notices or are in eviction proceedings. After that, it will be on a first-come, first-served basis. If the program goes well, he adds the legislature might consider additional funding.
I think that the funding will go quickly. It is a pilot. It is just meant to teach us about what strategies work.
In order to be eligible for the program, you have to make less than 60% of the area median income for your location. Your rent must also be no more than 125% of the fair market rate for your area. Maine Housing is working with a third-party contractor to help administer the program and distribute funding.
We've worked with Quality Housing Coalition over the years in different ways, and during the pandemic primarily. We're going ahead and contracting with them and looking forward to all the great work that they're going to do.
For more information and to apply, a link will be available on our website. In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, there are 15 days left until Election Day, and candidates for Maine's 2nd Congressional District are making their final pitches to voters. State Representative Austin Theriault is using the time to launch what he is calling his final People Over Politics tour by blanketing Maine's 2nd Congressional District, talking with voters and focusing on those in the working class.
Feeling good. I think the reception's been great. Obviously, we're hoping for tremendous turnout. We've been really encouraging people to go vote early. The last day for early voting is, I think, actually Halloween. I think it's the 31st. So we encourage people to go out there, go to your town halls, vote in person, and go and vote early. Get it done with. That way you can say you made your voice heard. And then obviously, if you miss that deadline, for sure on Election Day, go out. Don't miss it. This is one of the most important elections, I think, in our lifetime, certainly in my generation.
Well, we reached out to his opponent, incumbent Representative Jared Golden, who declined an interview, and instead his campaign offered this statement, quote, Representative Golden, in addition to fulfilling his duties as a congressman, has been meeting with Mainers on the campaign trail. He'll spend the next 2 weeks meeting with and listening to Mainers across the district, talking about his record and the work ahead to restore women's reproductive freedom, lower the deficit, and fund Social Security and Medicare. He's working hard to earn every vote, end quote.
Well, in just 2 weeks, voters across the United States will be heading to the polls. Here in Maine, voters could make history by weighing in on referendum question 1. Our Alex Schy reports on how your vote could affect politics nationwide.
Maine elections should be for Maine people and not for billionaires and big corporations from out of state.
Across the nation, there's no limit to the amount individuals and corporations can donate to political action committees. However, Kyle Bailey, the campaign manager for Yes on One, believes Maine residents agree that it's time for a change.
So over 80,000 Maine people signed petitions to place question 1 on the November ballot.
Question 1 asks voters, do you want to set a $5,000 limit for giving to political action committees that spend money independently to support or defeat candidates for office? If passed, Harvard Law professor Lawrence Lessig says it may still take years for voters to see any change, as the decision will likely face legal challenges.
So if it's passed in Maine, it will be challenged, I'm quite sure. It will go to the district court in Maine, and then the district court's decision will be appealed to the First Circuit.
Lessig says the matter may ultimately be decided by the Supreme Court. If so, it could result in nationwide changes to campaign finance.
If the Supreme Court upholds it, of course, it's upholding a limit on state super PACs. But the reasoning that would lead to upholding it would also apply to federal super PACs. So there's a chance that Maine passing this law and having it upheld in the United States Supreme Court would end super PACs across the nation.
For more information on question 1 and all the referendums on November's ballot, go to our website, foxbangor.com. In Bangor, Alex Schy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, according to the Maine Connectivity Authority, there's an estimated 9,000 locations across the state that do not have connectivity service of any kind. But starting in mid-November, they're looking to change that. Our Doug Banks explains.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
This is footage taken in Florida of a recent SpaceX launch that put over a dozen of its Starlink satellites into our Earth's orbit. And according to the Maine Connectivity Authority, it's satellites like those that could help provide internet, service, and technology connection to some of Maine's most rural areas.
These are locations that don't have access to any kind of internet option right now. So not even an old, slow, unreliable connection.
There's an estimated 9,000 locations in Maine going without a tech connection. And while they're scattered across Maine, they're concentrated in Oxford, Penobscot, and Aroostook counties. And Allenby says Mainers will have a chance to see if they qualify for a Starlink dish in mid-November, when an open enrollment portal kicks off under their new Working Internet ASAP program. By submitting an address, contact information, and providing simple evidence that they either work or live at that address, Mainers who are approved will be moved into a Starlink customer portal. From there, Allenby says dishes will be sent to Mainers who can install it themselves or be installed for free through a qualified MCA partner. Those who receive a Starlink dish can decide their subscription level, that Allenby says ranges from $90 to $120 a month.
That relationship will be between the customer and Starlink. What MCA will provide is all the hardware that they need to get the connection at their house and that free installation support as well.
To learn more, visit mainconnectivity.org.
Once we provide this option for folks, it also doesn't mean that the work is done.
Doug Banks reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, certainly a nice day out today. I don't know if you got to enjoy it at all.
Yeah, of course. A little bit. Not as much as maybe I would have liked, but it was sort of like a very brief little kickback to summer.
Yeah,
End
of
summer. Yeah, a little bit warmer out there today. Yep. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at our first, get a first check of our forecast and take a look at the overnight.
Thank you. Your first weather tonight is brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Old Town Redemption offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. All right, taking a look out at the radar right now. A few showers north of the state right now, but we are dry here in town as high pressure has been dominating our area. So been very dry, few clouds in the area. And going into tonight, we will have some mostly clear skies as well. But take a look at those highs for today. It felt like summer out there with temperatures in the mid-70s. We can see Bangor got up to 75 degrees, 74 in Bar Harbor, Rockland at 73. Lots of mid to upper 70s down in that southwestern portion of the state. And as we can see, a little bit cooler up north, but still right around 70 degrees. Overnight tonight, we're going to have those clear skies, and those lows are going to get down to the mid-40s for tonight.
Thanks, Chase. Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10. Maine community colleges are seeing record enrollment rates.
And a woman from Sydney is defying the odds after a near life-ending accident. We'll have those stories and more local news after this.
Maine is built on strength and independence, but lately, our future feels uncertain. I'm an Army veteran, a mother, a doctor, so I know what it means to fight for my family, my neighbors, and my state. I'm running for Senate because Maine deserves better. It's time for real leadership, someone who will work to lower costs, secure our borders, and protect our way of life. My name is Demi Kazunas, and I approve this message because I am running to stand up for you.
Sun up to sundown. There's no rest until harvest. Together, we're unstoppable. Together, we're united. United Ag and Turf, your local John Deere dealer.
This Halloween season, don't be afraid to dive into your dream boat at Hamlin's Marine. With our Don't Be Scared to Buy a Boat sale, you can save thousands on any in-stock boat, if you dare. From the comfort of a Godfrey pontoon to the power of a Weldcraft, both powered by reliable Yamaha outboards, we've got the perfect boat for your next adventure. But these savings vanish Halloween night. Visit Hamlin's Marine, where the prices are spooky good and the deals are to die for.
AMHG Works LLC, American-made home goods, located at the Rennie's Plaza in Bangor. Come check us out. We're open 7 days a week, featuring artisans, crafters, and manufacturers from across the United States, where everything is meticulously designed with care and pride. We also have a wide selection of pet accessories and treats. Let us be your new favorite store. We look forward to seeing you.
I'm Carl Oldenburg, Chief of Police.
How'd you even notice that?
Duty calls.
Murder in a Small Town, all new Tuesdays on Fox.
Hello, I'm Emma Smith, and coming up on Good Morning Maine, the Eviction Prevention Program is now taking applications. We'll learn how to possibly be helped by the fund. Plus, Mount Hope Cemetery is hosting some spooky and educational tours this weekend. We'll learn about those, plus that full forecast and local sports updates coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Welcome back. A woman from Sydney is lucky to be alive after being hit by a vehicle and dragged. Her injuries were severe, and many in her family and those on her medical team weren't sure of her chances. As Jody Hersey recently found out, she is recovering with each passing day and defying the odds.
Sarah Pical is a walking miracle. Back in July, this 44-year-old and her 17-year-old son were walking out of First Church in Waterville, heading toward their parked car when a Jeep Patriot struck them on the sidewalk. Sarah was unfortunately caught under the vehicle and dragged.
Just like that, life changed, and next thing I knew, I was in the hospital in Portland.
Sarah suffered internal bleeding and lacerations on her spleen and liver. She also had a crushed pelvis and 9 broken or fractured ribs. Her family and friends quickly put their faith into action, reaching out to everyone they knew, asking for prayer, which Sarah says she felt from her hospital bed.
As strange as it sounds, there's been a lot of blessings that have come out of this experience.
In the past, Sarah has been a runner, but in recent years, her fitness focused on weight training, which she says has helped her significantly with her recovery. She is now back home working with a physical therapist and walking with a cane. Sarah's mother, Lorelei Ratcliffe, is proud of her daughter's progress.
As she's healing physically, she is healing emotionally and spiritually too.
Earlier this month, Sarah returned to church. It was her first time back since the accident.
A woman came up to me and said that she had gone to that church when she was younger. It had been years since she went. She went the day of the accident, was her first day back. And she said, I was so impacted by hearing about how good your recovery was going and how well you were doing that I just needed to come until I could see you again.
Sarah says this experience has taught her what's truly important in life and how her faith is unshakable.
And he's worried about little old me. You know, all this other stuff going on in the world, and he's still making sure that I can get up every day and I can walk every day and I can do all these things.
In Waterville, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Maine's community colleges set a new record for fall enrollment. According to a statement sent out earlier today, more than 21,000 students are attending. That is up 10% from last year and another historic high for the 7 colleges in the system. Maine Community College System President David Dagler said, quote, "This is what happens when you intentionally and strategically make college affordable, relevant, and accessible. This last year has been a period of tremendous growth for us," end quote. Fall enrollment has been boosted by the free college program, which was proposed by Governor Janet Mills in early 2022 and then enacted by the legislature a few months later. It covers 100% of community college tuition and fees for recent high school graduates.
Well, coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are hitting battleground states with just a few weeks until Election Day.
And states across the country have school choice as a top issue on their ballots. We'll have those stories and more as the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22 continues.
You won't find confidence on any list of SUV features, but one brand has it in spades, backed with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of select new 2024 Sportage and 2024 Sorrento models.
Jared Golden's biggest lie? I'm a straight shooter. But Golden wasn't straight with us. Golden reversed his position on gun control. Jared Golden flipped. Golden now supports a ban on the most commonly held rifle in the U.S. Golden's turned into another Washington politician. Golden's even backing the liberals' plan for a gun registry. Jared Golden is not one of us. The NRCC is responsible for the content of his advertising.
Tired of your internet service constantly letting you down? Those other providers may promise the world with their flashy advertisements, but are you truly having a good customer experience? Fear not, because there's a new player in town. Introducing GoNet Speed. No more endless hold times or automated responses. We're here to listen, support, and provide you with the exceptional service you deserve. Our fast, reliable fiber internet, it's mind-blowing. Let us show you what true internet satisfaction feels like.
Did you know that 50% of the air you breathe in your home is air that comes from Hafford Basement Systems? All things basementy. A wet, damp basement is a real problem. It can damage your valuables, worsen asthma and allergies, and affect indoor air quality. We'll transform your basement into a dry, usable space and improve the health of your entire home. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems for all things basementy.
Protect your vehicle from rusting away with Bell's Automotive Protection. We are the leader in mobile undercoating and rust proofing in Maine. We'll travel right to your driveway using the best and safest products on the market. This is much safer than rubberized coatings that can cause damage later on. We spray all types of vehicles, including commercial fleets. We all know vehicles aren't cheap anymore. Don't let the harsh winter chemicals eat them away. Call us or visit our page for a free quote. 207-659-3805.
Kia has 10 hybrid, electric, and plug-in hybrid utility vehicles to choose from. So no matter what you're looking for, the question isn't which vehicle to get, it's which Kia to get. Kia, movement that inspires.
If you've been injured, call Joe, the law offices of Joe Bornstein.
In a surprise trip to Ukraine, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced more than $400 million in military aid. Ukraine is preparing for another difficult winter, defending itself from Russia. Fox's Connor Hansen has more from New York.
As Ukraine's war with Russia nears its 3-year mark, Ukraine has been having trouble slowing down Russian forces making a push to take more land. The United Nations says last month was the deadliest for civilians there since the war started, with more than 200 killed. Just hours after a Russian drone attack on Ukraine's capital, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin visited to meet with President Vladimir Zelensky.
If Ukraine falls under Putin's boot, all of Europe will fall under Putin's shadow.
Austin announced more than $400 million in additional military aid. It will come in the form of munitions, armored vehicles, and anti-tank weapons.
Your unwavering support is not just a gesture of friendship. It's a powerful symbol of the shared values that bind our nations together.
But President Zelensky has been asking allies to go even further. Ukraine would like to use Western long-range missiles to strike deeper into Russian territory, something the U.S. has yet to agree to. Zelensky would also like a formal invitation to NATO. He spoke to President Biden recently about his victory plan.
We discussed a lot of important things about victory plan, about preparing for winter.
Defense Secretary Austin noted the U.S. has now provided Ukraine with $58 billion in military aid since the war started, making the U.S. its main backer. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Israel takes the fight to Hezbollah's funding sources as the fighting in Lebanon and Gaza grinds on. Fox's Trey Yangst has more from Haifa, Israel.
Israel expanding its air campaign against Hezbollah by targeting sites it says are used to finance the group's activities. But this time, the Israelis warned civilians to evacuate ahead of the airstrikes, and no civilian casualties were reported. American diplomats are now working to stop the fighting and urged Lebanese officials to reject Hezbollah's demands to link any ceasefire with the fighting in Gaza.
The world will stand by Lebanon and its leaders if they make the brave and the hard choices that are required at this time to benefit all of the Lebanese people.
There are still intense battles being waged inside Gaza, on the ground and from the air. Overnight, the Hamas-run health ministry said 87 people are dead or missing after an Israeli attack in the north, and they're calling for an immediate ceasefire to evacuate the wounded.
We want this war to stop and provide protection for hospitals as guaranteed by international law and international norms, as well as protect and secure medical staff.
Meanwhile, as Israel prepares for a possible retaliatory strike on Iran, the Pentagon has rushed delivered its THAAD anti-missile system, which is now in place. But the U.S. is still pushing to end the war, which could help contain the threat from Iran.
They have a window of opportunity now with Hamas's leadership being taken out of the picture, to really begin to focus in earnest on the people.
Low-level talks are underway in Egypt, but Hamas says its demands remain unchanged after the killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. In Haifa, Trey Yangst, Fox News.
With just over 2 weeks to go until Election Day, both candidates are non-stop campaigning in crucial states where polls show a very close race. Trump visited hurricane-battered North Carolina, while Harris squeezed 3 states into one day. Fox's Connor Hansen has more from New York.
With 15 days to go, a blue wall blitzed through the battleground states. For Vice President Harris, it's a 3-state swing through Pennsylvania before making stops in Michigan and Wisconsin. Harris told supporters her presidency would not be an extension of President Biden's if she wins.
I bring to it my own ideas, my own experiences. But it is also about moving past what, frankly, I think has been the last decade of the American discourse being influenced by Donald Trump.
Traveling with Harris, former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, a vocal critic of Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris is going to defend our Constitution. We have the chance to remind people that we are a good country.
Meanwhile, the former president visited North Carolina, still on the long road to recovery after Hurricane Helene. Trump has been critical of the federal response and says he supports Congress reconvening early to approve more relief funds.
And certainly you have all heard the same stories that we all hear, that FEMA has done a very poor job.
Despite the devastation, the state has had strong early voter turnout.
They lost their house and they're standing outside voting. So obviously we want them to vote, but we want them to live and survive and be happy and healthy, because this is really a tragedy.
The White House defended its response to Hurricane Helene and says it has been working closely with local leaders. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
One of the big issues in this campaign season is school choice. Although it was once perceived as a minor concern, polls now show 70% of voters support it. Fox's William Lajeunesse has more from Los Angeles.
I think school choice is a good idea, and particularly underprivileged people.
A fringe issue 20 years ago, school choice is on the ballot.
I'm not a fan of the vouchers, but I am in favor of choice.
What's happening here is we want families to control the education dollars. Every dollar should follow every kid to every option, and that's what we're searching for.
29 states offer school choice programs ranging from vouchers and tax credits to savings accounts that allow parents to use public money to help pay for a private or parochial education. Trump supports school choice. Harris doesn't.
Number one, we want school choice, but we have to get out of this Washington thing.
While Harris promises to strengthen education, her party's platform is consistent with that of the teacher unions. Quote, "We oppose the use of private school vouchers, tuition tax credits, opportunity scholarships, and other schemes that divert taxpayer-funded resources away from public education."
And one of the greatest expressions of love that a society can make towards its children is to invest in their education.
Polls show growing support for school choice. Close to 1 million students are currently enrolled in programs nationwide, with taxpayers typically covering half to 3/4 of private tuition.
I think it would be nice to be able to choose where you go to school somewhat.
Public school money should stay in public schools.
That's the debate. Choice supporters say public money is their money too, and that states actually spend less when students use a voucher or a credit than if the child attended a public school. However, opponents argue school choice programs suck resources from an already struggling public system. In Los Angeles, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
Officials in Northern California are working hard to get ahead of the next big wildfires by asking residents to clear brush, expect power outages, and have a plan to evacuate. Fox's Jonathan Hunt has more from Los Angeles.
I'm lucky to be in this neighborhood. I'm lucky of the fire response, too.
Anxious residents of Oakland, California are now back home after a fast-moving brush fire closed in on their neighborhood over the weekend. That fire is now 85% contained, and locals say their homes are still standing because of the quick response by firefighters. It's part of a new effort to get ahead of wildfires in Northern California. Red flag warnings are now in effect throughout the area, and officials are urging residents to get ready to leave if more evacuations are ordered.
We've really been asking residents over the last several days to be prepared for this, and people have a plan in the event that an incident or a fire breaks out and they need to evacuate.
Local utilities are also working to minimize the risks by planning power outages in areas where stray sparks could set off a major fire. Some communities have been told they could be without power for days, and that's not sitting well with local business owners.
We use, we use electricity, and we need to plan how we're going to manage our inventory, in regards to the power outages. But 3 days seems a little excessive.
But others are taking the preparations in stride, clearing brush from their properties and hoping for the best.
It's a sign of the times. You gotta be prepared for everything, I feel like, these days.
It's already been a record-breaking year for wildfires, with more than 1 million acres burned in California so far. In Los Angeles, Jonathan Hunt, Fox News.
Well, still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, Boeing has reached an agreement with its largest union, ending their strike.
And it was a big homecoming weekend for the Black Bear sports teams across the board. We'll be right back.
All rise.
How does the defendant plead?
I have to do this.
No, you don't.
Accused, all new, Tuesdays at 9 on Fox.
My stepfather raised our family working at G.H. Bass, and we saw his jobs go overseas. I worked in the paper mills and shoe shops, and those all closed. It pisses me off. See good jobs going overseas. Austin Terrio signed a pledge to protect tax breaks and loopholes for corporations that send jobs overseas. And he supports trade with China that hurts Maine lobstermen. Why would you give tax breaks to corporations that are sending jobs overseas? Austin Terrio is for his big donors. He's not for the working class, that's for sure.
HMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
We are explorers, hard workers, the jack of all trades. We are Mainers. Maine Quit Link provides free nicotine quit medication, including gum, patches, and lozenges. No insurance needed, no copay, and no cost to Mainers. Because quitting tobacco with a little extra help is more successful than quitting on your own. Quit like a Mainer. Enroll online at MaineQuitLink.com or call 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
Big drug companies were ripping off diabetics like me. Jared Golden knew that was wrong, and he voted to cap insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Not Austin Theriault. He said the bill Jared supported wouldn't help everyday middle-class people like me. Theriault isn't even in Congress yet, and he's already out of touch and is on the record opposing benefits for seniors on Medicare. We can't afford Austin Theriault.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
Some people tend to think that flat means dull, boring. But some people just don't understand what flat means. Some people never did 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat. So yeah, the upgrades we brought to our 2025 models, well, they're just not for some people.
After weeks on the picket line, Boeing has reached a tentative agreement with its largest union. Fox's Madeline Rivera has more on the details of that latest offer.
Thousands of Boeing machinists could soon be headed back to work. The plane maker and its largest union have reached a tentative deal to end a weeks-long strike that's delayed deliveries of Boeing's best-selling jets and triggered layoffs. The union plans to hold a ratification vote for its members on Wednesday, but says the new offer is proof that the strike was successful, writing, quote, "The fact the company has put forward an improved proposal is a testament to the resolve and dedication of the frontline workers who've been on strike and to the strong support they have received from so many." Boeing is offering workers a 35% wage increase spread over 4 years and a reinstated incentive plan. The company will also increase its contributions to members' 401k plans. But it's not a done deal yet. The union voted to reject the last offer from Boeing that was recommended by union leaders and included a 25% wage increase.
You argue for fair wages and fair benefits. It seems like there's no money. But every single time a CEO gets a golden parachute of $32 million, there seems to be enough money.
This latest proposal also does not include a demand by many members to restore pensions. One transit union says it's heard from some machinists who say the latest deal is still not enough.
If they're going to vote no, we're going to keep coming down here and support them.
One economic group estimates this strike has already cost Boeing $1 billion a month. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
A federal investigation is underway into Tesla's full self-driving system due to concerns over its performance during reduced roadway visibility. Fox's Jared Halpern has more on what triggered the probe.
Tesla's full self-driving feature is under federal investigation after reports of at least 4 crashes, including one where a pedestrian was killed. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says each time the software was engaged in areas with reduced road visibility from sun glare, fog, or airborne dust.
It's hugely unfortunate that these crashes are happening. They're horrible and they shouldn't be happening. It proves that self-driving technology has got a long ways to go, longer than some car makers are willingly free to admit, I'd say.
According to Tesla's website, the autopilot and full self-driving features require active driver supervision and do not make the car autonomous. The probe will examine more than 2 million cars equipped with this technology and assess their ability to respond during times of low visibility. The NHTSA will also look into whether similar crashes have occurred. The investigation comes more than a week after Elon Musk unveiled the Tesla Cybercab, a driverless robo-taxi. But like all automakers, Tesla will have to get federal approval before launching a car without standard driving controls.
Your average passenger car is only used about 10 hours a week out of 168 hours. But if they're autonomous, they could be used, 5 times more.
Tesla recalled 2 million cars last year due to problems with its autopilot system and addressed the issue with a software update. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Well, America's drugstores are quickly shutting their doors thanks to ongoing retail thefts, shifting consumer habits, and incoming regulatory pressure. Fox's Kelly Saberi is in Chicago with that story.
Walgreens has announced that it will close 1,200 unprofitable stores. This follows rival CVS, which has now closed about 10% of its retail footprint within the last 3 years. After filing for bankruptcy a year ago, Rite Aid has closed almost 550 stores. So where did things go wrong? CVS and Walgreens have attempted to go beyond the pharmacy experience to try to rebrand as an all-encompassing healthcare headquarters, a very costly endeavor. And that might be why Walgreens' new CEO says the company is, quote, reorienting to its legacy strength as a retail pharmacy-led company.
While the decision to close the store is never an easy one, we feel confident in our ability to continue to serve our customers, and we intend to follow our historic practice to redeploy the majority of the workforce in those stores that we close. In addition to being trusted and convenient, we must be relevant to today's consumer.
CVS has pushed even further into the healthcare space by merging with insurer Aetna and Caremark, which is their prescription drug coverage benefit manager. Shoppers seem to have similar issues between CVS and Walgreens, including that products are locked up to prevent theft, higher pricing, and long lines. And now people can get a lot of these products delivered. They can also find them at cheaper prices at places like Target or Walmart, which sometimes have their own pharmacies and many more employees to help customers. Meanwhile, the chains have spent millions paying off government fines over allegations pertaining to dangerous understaffing, overbilling, and for potentially playing a part in the growth of the opioid epidemic. In Chicago, Kelly Saberi, Fox Business.
Well, in other news, gas prices are on their way back down. According to Gas Buddy, they dropped more than 2 cents a gallon. That's after a price increase the previous week. Gas Buddy's survey of more than 1,200 stations around the state finds the average price is now $3.07 a gallon. That's a little more than 5 cents a gallon lower than a month ago and more than 53 cents a gallon lower than a year ago.
Let's hope they keep trending downward.
Fingers crossed, I'm hoping.
Would be a huge help. All right. Well, coming up next, we, of course, have our full 5-day forecast. Stay with us.
It has been really dry recently. As we can see, the drought monitor is showing dry conditions here in town all the way up to Presque Isle, some moderate conditions along the eastern side of the state all the way throughout the coast. But we do have rain on the way. When is that rain going to arrive? I'll have the answers coming right up.
I've been living in my car for the last couple of weeks, trying to make ends meet, getting hotel rooms. This is the hotel where they were giving illegal immigrants free rooms. But yet, I had to pay $100 just to find some peace and comfort. Jared Golden does not have the proper focus on Mainers or American citizens. You want to take care of the people who have been there for you all the time, not take care of the people who just got here. I just feel as though Jared Golden should put Mainers first.
Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
If you've been injured in an accident, get Maine's most recognized personal injury law firm working for you today. The law offices of Joe Bornstein, fighting and winning for injured Mainers for nearly 50 years. Selected best lawyers in America for personal injury. Recognized for professional excellence. With more than $500 million collected for injured Mainers and over 25,000 victories for Maine families. Call Joe for a free case evaluation and get the Bornstein Advantage.
Find the perfect SUV for fall adventures at Quirk locations statewide. Explore foliage behind the wheel of the dependable Subaru Forester. Save $4,000 off MSRP. Elevate your tailgating game in a sporty Hyundai Tucson. Lease for $299 per month. Or go green with Dodge Hornet Hybrid SUV. Save over $12,000. For pre-owned SUVs, visit Quirk Motor City used vehicle centers in Augusta, Bangor, Belfast, Portland, and Rockland. It's your SUV. Find it at Quirk statewide. Central Maine Barns and Sheds, quality products built right here in Newport with a strong attention to detail. We have an incredible selection of pre-made options and would be more than happy to custom build a unit specifically for you. Central Maine Barns and Sheds has financing options available, including a rent-to-own program. We provide free delivery and setup within a 30-mile radius of any of our locations. Check out our full inventory at centralmainbarns.com or call for more information, 368-6177.
Oh, here we go, here we go. Season 12! She could sing.
The Masked Singer, all new Wednesdays on Fox.
Is brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Old Town Redemption offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. All right, take a look at those highs for today. Felt like summer outside with temperatures in the mid-70s for highs, especially here in town. Showing 75 for our high today, 74 in Bar Harbor, 73 in Rockland. And we saw lots of mid to upper 70s down in the southwestern portion of the state today. Portland got up to 78 degrees. Freiburg got up to 80. So we did have 80s in the area. But if you go up a little bit more north, right around the perfect humid temperature in Millinocket for 72 degrees. And then Presque Isle and Holton right around 70 degrees as well. As we go into tonight, we'll have mostly clear skies and calm winds. It's showing upper 40s here in town, but with those clear skies and calm winds, the models aren't really picking that up, so we are going to see temperatures right around the mid-40s for tonight. A lot cooler up north, though. Clayton Lake showing right around the mid-30s with, if they have those clear skies and calm winds, they could be in those low 30s for tonight. As we go into tomorrow, we're going to have another warm one, not as warm as it was for today. There will be some cloud cover in the area. We can see that in Monson and Millinocket, where those temperatures are only around the low 60s for tomorrow. That could very well happen with that cloud cover, but hopefully we'll get some sunshine here in town. If we should be right around those mid to upper 60s tomorrow, most likely the upper 60s. Forecast for tomorrow is right around 69 degrees. As we take a look at the temperature trend, we can see that lasting until Wednesday. So we're still well above average temperatures right now, with temperatures right around 70 degrees for the next few days. We will get closer to the average, as we can see, Thursday into Friday, right around those upper to mid 50s. Saturday and Sunday is where we really dip below the average. We're going to be having a high of 47 degrees on Sunday, so much cooler temperatures are in store for us, but we will rebound nicely on Monday with a high a little bit back above average around 59 degrees. All right, so taking a look at the radar right now, we do have that high pressure still dominating us, just a few clouds in the area. We can see some showers just north of the state, but they aren't going to be coming anywhere near us. If we take a look at, or just take a step back right now, so this is where that high pressure is dominating right now, just east of Illinois in the Ohio River Valley region. That is where we have clockwise rotation as well. Here are low pressure systems right now, one in Nebraska and Kansas, and we can see one up in the northwestern portion of the U.S. as well. They are going to use that clockwise rotation from the high pressure to ride up into the Great Lakes region and then make their way over to us going into Wednesday night. That's when we can expect those showers on the way. So clear skies for tonight, as you can see, and then going into tomorrow, a few passing clouds, nothing major. But as we get into Wednesday nights, that's when we'll have, or Wednesday early morning hours, some cloud cover. And then Wednesday night is when those showers are going to arrive. We can see that frontal system just off to the west. But for tonight, though, low right around 44, mostly clear skies, areas of patchy fog as well. So be careful in those early morning hours out on the road. Tomorrow, high 69, mostly sunny, and winds are going to be light, right around 5 miles per hour from the south. Taking a look at our extended forecast, we can see got some upper 60s still until Wednesday, 59 on Thursday, then really starting to see that dip in temperatures by Saturday with chances for rain as well.
Sports is next with Tyler Cruz.
Stay with us.
Here's what you need to know about
no-show Austin Terrio.
Austin Terrio skipped work in the State House, but still took his paycheck.
What a deadbeat.
Now Terrio wants a promotion.
To join Washington politicians?
Trying to cut the Social Security and Medicare benefits that we earned.
I can't afford a cut, and I don't think anybody else can.
I think it's wrong. I earned it by working the years that I worked.
No-show Terrio is not going to work for Maine.
HMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
At Spectrum, we believe every day unlocks unlimited possibilities to bring you closer to the people and places you love. Spectrum transforms your gaming experience into a galaxy of adventures. And with the fastest, most reliable internet, you're always front row to the entertainment you love, no matter where you are. Get Spectrum Internet Premier for $30 per month when bundled plus a 3-year price guarantee. Call 1-833-440-0029. Spectrum Internet puts streaming live TV, sports, and popular apps all at your fingertips.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message. Washington wasn't listening to Maine. So we brought Maine to Washington to deliver the message.
Together, we stood up to Biden to protect Maine lobstermen.
Worked with the Trump administration to build a veteran treatment center.
Delivered $1 million to train Maine loggers.
And worked with Republicans to secure our border and fund our police.
And we're just getting started.
Tonight's Sports is brought to you by Hamlin's Marine, located in Hamden and Waterville, celebrating 40 years, serving all of eastern and central Maine.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. It was a huge weekend for UMaine sports, and we'll start it off on the ice. The Black Bears welcoming a top 10 matchup at Alfond Arena and coming away with a 2-game sweep. After 2 wins against then 7th-ranked Quinnipiac, Maine men's ice hockey is now ranked 6th in the country, according to both of the national polls, U.S. College Hockey and USA Hockey. The Black Bears took a 2-1 win in Game 1 on Friday. They led 4-1 Saturday night before falling behind 5-4. They netted the equalizer in the final minute of regulation and then the overtime game winner right here shortly after. And they all say this weekend was huge with Hockey East play coming right up.
Just on to the next one, but you know, you got to win games at home, and to beat a really good team like that in that fashion, and 2 nights in a row is I mean, that's as good of a hockey team as, you know, they're as well coached and as talented as you know, as most in our league.
I think it's a testament to our culture and the fact that we just don't want to quit. You know, we're always going to go out there no matter what the score is and give our very best. We know we have in this locker room.
Maine heads to Northeastern this upcoming weekend. Staying with the Black Bears, the ice wasn't the only arena where Maine took down a nationally ranked opponent this weekend. Maine football scoring a huge homecoming win against a top 5 opponent. The Black Bears welcomed number 5 Villanova to Alfond Stadium. They started hot and they stayed hot all day. Maine jumped out to a 28-0 lead in the first half and rode that to a 35-7 victory. Carter Peavy threw for 3 touchdowns. Maine rushed for 1 and returned a blocked field goal, like you see right here, for another. The defense added 7 sacks and 4 turnovers. Head coach Jordan Stevens says that physicality that they played with is what's going to carry them the rest of the season.
And you know, the players came out ready to play and really got on top of them early. But just you know, just playing to our standard, and love the the physicality that we played with, and think that's going to be you know, something that we certainly need to hang our hat on.
Maine hits the road again for another ranked opponent, taking on number 15 Rhode Island Saturday at 1 p.m. All right, let's head to the Patriots now. Another poor showing in London for New England for the 2nd year in a row. They fell to the Jaguars 32-16, despite getting off to a 10-0 lead to start the game. It was a good showing for Drake May at first, throwing a touchdown on his first drive and leading a field goal drive later in the first quarter, but it was all Jaguars from there on out. New England allowed over 170 rushing yards and only rushed for 38 themselves. They also gave up a 97-yard return touchdown on special teams. It's now their 6th straight loss since opening the year with that win against the Bengals. Feels so long ago. This is their longest losing streak since the early 90s. And head coach Gerard Mayo with some interesting comments about his team post-game.
What I would say is, look, we're a soft football team across the board. We talk about what makes a tough football team. That's being able to run the ball, that's being able to stop the run, and that's being able to cover kicks, and we did none of those today. Look, back to the drawing board. I mean, we can't sit here and pout. We just got to put a game together.
Let's go back to Maine and talk some basketball now. America East releasing their preseason rankings on Monday. Both Maine hoops programs find themselves in the top 5. Starting with the women's basketball squad, the defending champs were picked to win the conference again. They received 5 of 9 championship votes. Albany gets the other 3. Defending runners-up from Vermont picked 3rd, Bryant 4th. Binghamton gets the other championship vote, and the border rivals New Hampshire picked to finish 9th. For the men now, Vermont picked to win that conference yet again. UMass Lowell in 2nd. They get the only other championship vote. 8 of those went to Vermont. Bryant is 3rd, and Chris Markwood and his Black Bears are picked 4th. In America East, they finished in a tie for 4th last season. UMBC, Binghamton, and Albany and NJIT are behind them once again. New Hampshire picked 9th. Finally, let's go to some girls soccer now. A big Class B matchup over at Pottle Field on Monday. The Old Town Coyotes visiting the Herman Hawks. Hawks lead 1-0 in the first. The ball's with Herman. They're playing it back. Look at Rhiannon Bousquet comes flying in. She fights for possession. She gets it and fires, but Becca Balmas is there for the diving save. Great hustle there from the Coyotes, though. Hawks now. Natalie Tardy enters the corner. It is perfect. Right to Madison Stewart. She gets a head on it, but Olivia Ketch is there, and she makes the save. Second half now, Hawks up 2-0. Tardy trying to get it. She gets a step and fires, but Ketch leaps, gets her fingertips on it, and makes an incredible stop. But Herman also impressive in net. Allison Caron to Bousquet. She touch passes to Karina Dumont. It gets through, but Balmas slides in for the save in time. Hawks win it 3-0. They finish the season 12-2. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
You won't find confidence on any list of SUV features, but one brand has it in spades, backed with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty.
Get 0% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of select new 2024 Sportage and 2024 Sorrento models.
There's no question this year, reproductive rights, reproductive freedom is on the ballot. Mary, what was your reaction the day you heard about the Dobbs decision?
I never thought we would be back here. I just never did.
Mom, I remember I grew up with you telling me I had the choice to do what I wanted with my body.
There's no room in a doctor's office for the patient, the doctor, and the government. This is one of the reasons I want to go back, because there's a lot of work left to be done.
Make Roe v. Wade the law of the land.
You have my word. I'm Angus King, and I approve this message.
Does your dream kitchen look like this? Or this? Or maybe you need a little more inspiration. Get it when you explore the complete in-store showroom displays at Hammond Lumber Company. When you find the look you like, the Hammond team will help you customize it, including accurate 3D renderings, so you can visualize your project before the work begins. Hammond offers delivery from any of the locations across Maine and New Hampshire and professional service after the sale. Your dream kitchen begins when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home. We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
A 13-year-old girl was raped in Mississippi, but anti-abortion extremists passed a law that forced her to carry the pregnancy to term.
They have no right. It's horrifying.
Absolutely horrific.
Abel.
Now the same thing could happen in every state. Austin Terrio is on the side of extremists that want to ban abortion nationwide.
Even for rape, no matter how young the victim.
I think they're out of their minds.
They're going to try to control women. It's absolutely nuts.
You won't find confidence on any list of SUV features, but one brand has it in spades, backed with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty.
Get 0% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of select new 2024 Sportage and 2024 Sorrento models.
Light it up!
TV's biggest game show is back, and it's even bigger.
Let's go!
The Floor, all new, Wednesdays on Fox.
A last-minute change in Lewiston seems to have paid off. Lewiston leaders took over the area's iconic balloon festival after the longtime organizers canceled it in May. Mal Myers looks at how much money the event brought in and who might organize next year's event.
In just 3 months, the city of Lewiston was able to pull off the festival. New records show that despite the time crunch and resources it took, it still turned a profit.
It was a big lift.
The multi-day event in August cost about $170,000 for staffing, entertainment, event production, and balloon expenses. That's according to a report compiled by the city in response to our records request.
We made sufficient sponsorship dollars and donations, as well as a grant from the Maine Office of Tourism that made this event finish in the black.
In all, the Lewiston Auburn Balloon Festival will have turned a $25,000 profit once remaining sponsorships are paid. It's a boost to area nonprofits and businesses.
To the local economy, it adds about $2.1 million between the hotels and the restaurants and the convenience stores.
Where it all goes from here is a question. The Great Falls Balloon Festival, which handed over the reins to the city at the last minute, is down to just 2 people. The organization's president, Deb Leonard, tells CBS 13 they're hoping to do the festival next year, but right now are working to build up a board of directors.
We saw firsthand this year how much it took to get this festival off the ground.
Leonard says she's not sure if the city will have to do it again, but they're hoping not.
The city has an interest in seeing it continue. I think it is probably something that would look like a partnership.
That could be with the longtime organizers or another group.
I think we want to have the resources of the city support an event.
Lewiston leaders expect to have a better idea of their potential plans by the end of the year.
And that was Mal Meyer reporting. Meanwhile, those wanting to get into the Halloween spirit a little early can register for one of the darker Mount Hope tours in Bangor. These walking tours will take place Friday and Saturday night at Mount Hope Cemetery on State Street in Bangor. Signs and lights will guide participants along this tour where there are volunteer storytellers dressed in character and stationed throughout the cemetery to share interesting tales of years gone by. This 1.5 mile long walking tour takes approximately 90 minutes, and the entire event is done on sidewalks, which makes it accessible for everyone.
It is not meant to prevent you from sleeping at night. There are some very creepy stories that we do have, but I mean, so many of them are based on historical facts and truths.
Tickets are $20 a person, and they are available at BangorHistoricalSociety.org.
Well, speaking of Halloween, it's a little over a week away, and in spirit of the spooky season, a local police department put out a PSA full of tricks to keep your trick-or-treaters safe. According to Brewer Police Public Safety Director Jason Moffitt, the video was posted to the Brewer Police Department's Facebook page last week with the hope of engaging younger audiences. Moffitt says the video is part of a larger effort by the police department to use videos and social media to better engage with the public.
Basically looked at the the current trends and really leveraging video in a short form for the most part, and social media is a really efficient way to get the message out to the public and engage with folks, especially the younger people that tend to get a lot of their news and a lot of their information from social media.
A link to the full video and the Brewer Police Department's Facebook page can be found on our website, and of course that is foxbangor.com.
It's a very welcoming looking werewolf right there.
Very friendly.
Yes, we named him Fluffy earlier.
We sure did.
Fluffy the werewolf.
Fluffy.
Giving you tips and tricks for Halloween. All right, well, that's going to do it for us, folks, from everyone here at Fox 22 News. Take care and have a great rest of your night.
We'll see you later.
Start your day with Good Morning Maine. Weekday mornings starting at 6 on Fox 22.